was a powerful statement, an exhibition of telling photographs that described the civic problems in the city. Organized by 5 public-spirited professionals who decided to stop complaining and do something. On October 7, 1985, they launched the Consumer Action Group, or CAG, a non-political, non-profit organization. This voluntary group was to be a platform for concerned citizens to meet, discuss, and be proactive in addressing issues of public concern.
I think the principal reason to start it was simply that there was no vehicle of getting companies, government, other service providers to respond to complaints, and those complaints could be individual, could be generic, affecting all of us. So a group of us got together and decided that let's start a body and see.
CAG began with a radical approach. Their agenda was clear. They were activists and out to make an impact by drawing attention to issues of public interest.
Public health, safety, performance of public utilities, environment. These were the 4 broad heads. We were also a combative group. We set out to find issues and take them to court, to challenge people, to kick up a fuss, to protest.
They started off with a path-breaking investigative report on blood banks in the city. This report, submitted to the State Health Department, found that blood banks were contributing to the spread of infections. In a strongly disputed case, CAG demanded that the government regulate hoardings of advertisements and film posters. They argued that these were a hindrance to pedestrians and a distraction for drivers. CAG caught media interest in a big way in January 1989. Through a successful petition, they stopped the sale of 18 acres of prime public land for the construction of a 5-star hotel.
And over the years, as we stepped into the early 1990s, there's a greater role of CAG in environmental litigation because there's simply very few other people to do this. And whether it was opposing the East Coast Road, which was the massive 45-meter highway that was planned, which would have destroyed the entire ecology of the East Coast from Madras to Pondicherry, or whether it was the Adyar Creek and the estuary issue on the Ambedkar Memorial, or whether it was noise pollution in the city of Madras. CAG was on top of all this. On one side, organizations have developed to provide services, supply goods for community life. But on the side of the community, there is no organized body as such to speak on behalf of the community, to act on behalf of the community, to check whether the goods supplied and the services rendered are up to the mark or to the satisfaction of the community. All these points go unchecked because there is no organized body as such. That is where this Consumer Action Group comes into the picture.
The business of CAG was, is and will always be protecting consumer rights. CAG should be proud of its good track record in resolving these issues, because in a way we contribute to lessening the workload on consumer forum. And when a matter is settled in our office, in CAG's office, it is usually settled within a span of between 3 to 6 months, as against nearly 3 to 4 years it takes now for a consumer complaint to be effectively redressed in courts.
CAG's Consumer Clinic has been active right from the start. Here, legal professionals provide free advice to anyone with complaints about services or products. In recognition of its voluntary efforts, CAG was awarded the National Award for Consumer Protection for the years 1989 and 1992.
One of the things we had in our trust deed was that you were to be a trustee for 12 years and perhaps a max of 2-3 years more, but after that you moved out, right? And you had to stay out for some time. You could come back maybe later, but you had to exit and other people had to come. I think that has been very valuable for CAG in terms of the fact that leadership has not been constant.
I think gradually there is a shift. While we continue to use the PIL and will continue to use it in the future, we are now trying to see whether there are other methods by which we could find some sort of talking point, discussion, dialogue, etc. So in a sense, we ourselves are coming down to a bottom-up approach, which I think is a very good thing for CAG, because in a sense we are interacting at a level with the people for whom we claim to represent. And I think that is a good change that is happening in CAG.
This new approach can be seen in the variety of issues that CAG deals with. They are working towards economic literacy, making critical information about trade and economics accessible to the public. They create interest in master planning for the city through sessions with municipal councillors. They share skills on medical waste management and train women to use the public distribution system effectively.
ஏழை எளிய மக்களின் நுகர்வோர் பிரச்சனைன்னு சொல்ல போனோம்னா அந்த ரேஷன் ஷாப்பில் நிறைய பிரச்சனைகள் இருக்குன்னு எங்கள் கவனத்துக்கு கொண்டு வரப்பட்டது. அது வந்து 1994 சொல்லியிருந்தாங்க. அதில் வந்து நிறைய புகார், எடைக்குறைவு, தரக்குறைவு, அப்புறம் பொருள் வந்து அவங்களோட போய் சேரலை, அவங்கக்கிட்ட சரியான நேரத்தில் சேரலை, அந்த மாதிரி பல பிரச்சனைகள் வந்தது. அதுக்காக நாங்கள் ஒரு 9 வாரம் வந்து ஒரு ட்ரைனிங் கண்டக்ட் பண்ணோம். அதில் 20லேருந்து 30 பேர் கலந்துக்கிட்டாங்க. இது முழுக்க மகளிருக்காகவே நடத்தப்பட்டது. இது வந்து அரசாங்க அதிகாரிகளும் இதில் கலந்துக்கிட்டாங்க. ஒரு நேர்காணல் மாதிரி வச்சுருந்தோம். அதில் வந்து பலதரப்பட்ட மகளிர் வந்து பயன்பெற்றாங்கன்னு அப்புறம் தான் எங்களுக்கு தெரியும். ஃபீட்பேக் வரும்போது ஒரு வாலண்டியர்ஸ்க்கும் பேட்ச் மாதிரி கொடுத்துருந்தோம், அவங்களே போய் இன்ஸ்பெக்ட் பண்ணுற மாதிரி. ஸோ அவங்களே போய் பண்ணும்போது அவங்களுக்கே என்னென்ன குறை இருக்குன்னு சொல்லி பண்ணுறதுக்கு வழிமுறையாக இருந்தது அந்த ட்ரெயின்.
We realized the need to enhance our in-house researching skills. Over the last few years, we've done some fairly important research studies, the most recent ones being the study on Chennai's water crisis, myths and realities, where we are seeking to figure out what sorts of vested interests are trying to continue the crisis and how the crisis is being exploited. A more recent study was on the nutrition levels of food that is being served in private schools and in corporation schools. The need to be proactive actually has helped CAG identify future problems and take them on head on before they actually become problems.
Overall, the students have become much more alert to what they eat and what goes in their tiffin and lunch boxes. So I think all this has been possible due to the efforts of CAG.
In today's increasingly materialistic world, the standards of living have increased, and as a consequence there's a great deal of pressure on young consumers. We did an education program because we think it's very crucial for these young children to be given the knowledge and skills which will equip them to deal with these pressures and become informed and empowered consumers. In addition to that, we took it up with the teachers. We trained the teachers to bring in consumer education in their day-to-day activities in school.
Over the last few years, especially in the post-liberalized India, CAG has had to play very different roles, very new roles, for which we've had to build our own capacities. And this has been a very challenging area for CAG. And we've actually responded by interacting with regulators very closely, especially in the cable TV sector as well as telecom and electricity. This has yielded very positive results, and we have been a very important part in setting service delivery standards and as well as benchmarking good practices.
Public health and safety remain a priority for CAG. We have done a study on the rising costs of healthcare services and specifically have worked on the prices of medicines. We have also begun work on seeking the rational use of drugs by consumers. CAG has done a study on the fire safety audit of cinema theatres, and the results were really scary. The government took note of this report and sort of recommended that a committee be set up to do periodic inspection of cinema theatres in Chennai and see that adequate safety measures were put in place.
Over the years, the opportunities for civil society to participate in governance has increased, and CAG has been at the forefront of pushing for good governance practices, generally reflected in processes like access to information, more transparency, and demanding accountability from government and private sector.
Well, CAG was a pioneering organization in making the right to information a reality in Tamil Nadu. They were the first ones who were able to tell many civil society organizations how we can make use of the law despite all its limitations. So they kept hammering at the law and proved to everyone that even if a law has very poor provisions in it, we can still make use of it. And many of us in campaigns and networks have learned from that experience.
Parliament and the Assembly are temples of democracy. If you make a statement there, it's a statement which you will be bound by. You'll have to fight for it, we'll have to fight for it, and they'll have to give it. It's the same spirit today that has made us fight, made you fight, made us fight, because a government has to be accountable. And in a democracy, not only do we vote every 5 years, but with that vote, we get the right to act. And they cannot stifle that right to act.
CAG மாதிரி ஒரு ஆர்கனைசேஷன் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா மக்களோட சேவைக்காக இருக்கிறதுனால மக்களோட குறைகளை தெரிஞ்சுட்டு அவங்களுக்கு என்ன வேணுங்கிறத தெரிஞ்சுட்டு அதுக்கப்புறமா வந்து என்ன உண்டோ அதை அவங்களுக்காக பண்ணணும். ஸோ அதில் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா முதல்ல அவங்கக்கிட்டேருந்து நம்ம அவங்களுக்கு என்ன வேணுங்கிறத தெரிஞ்சுக்கணும், அதுக்கப்புறம் இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் கொடுக்கணும்னு 2 விதமாக இருக்குது. ஸோ இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் தெரிஞ்சுக்கிறதுக்கு நாங்கள் என்ன முறைகளை உபயோகிக்கிறோம்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னாக்கா வந்து மக்கள் குறைதீர்ப்பு கூட்டம் மாதிரி நடத்துகிறோம், அவங்களுக்காக மீட்டிங் ஏதாவது நடத்துகிறோம். ஸோ இந்த மாதிரி இதில் மக்களோட கருத்துக்கள் அவங்களுக்கு என்ன வேணும் அப்படிங்கிறது தெரியும்.
In a society where priorities are rapidly changing, the dynamic team at CAG is constantly in touch with the concerns of citizens. After all, these concerns are what define the boundaries of their work.
As a media representative, I can only promise that those of us who are serious about journalism, its independence and its social responsibility, owe it to you and to the public and to our people, particularly the mass of the deprived, that we work in a more constructive and effective way in partnership with your organization and those you partner with at a national and international level.
Kind of issues that were faced by the citizens and the consumers in 20 years ago, where the type of business developments, both multinational business interests as well as our own indigenous business interests, is not the same 20 years ago as it is today. So I think we would have to now evolve ourselves also to cope with the kind of changes that take place so far as it affects the consumers.
CAG is a very impressive institution. More than that, it is a unique institution. Why? Because it represents a cause that is rarely represented anywhere in the non-profit sector.
Continuity in any institution to a very large extent will depend on its ability to be able to attract young, energetic and committed youngsters in its days of growth and development. CAG in this regard has been extremely fortunate to have its day-to-day activities run by a group of, a small group, but a very effective group of intelligent, articulate and committed young professionals.
Underlying all of CAG's activities is the belief in the strength of the collective voice, in the power of citizens to force governments, sellers, and service providers to take action by being informed, asking questions, and seeking answers, and in the ability of every individual to make a difference to the collective.